Yeah, sorry about that, people. I wound up having to just redo my reboot my computer, and mine's kind of old, and I've got a lot of stuff on the desktop. Anyway, if anybody has color pencils, I think it will be extra fun today with color pencils. You don't need them, of course, but I think it's going to be nice. We're going to look at a lot of paintings, and we're going to sketch a couple details of those paintings. We're going to focus really on this artist named Bert Morisot. She was an impressionist, but her name is spelled Bertha, B-E-R-T-H-E. So I think people called her Bert. But I mean, I wasn't there, so I don't know what her friends called her. A lot of these artists' names, when they're from other countries, I've called artists thinking I knew the right pronunciation for like 20 years, and then they're like, oh, it's not pronounced Ingress, it's pronounced Angra. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, that wasn't one of them, but hey, Ellie, look at your little guy. Hello.
Yeah, we're sharing earbuds.
Sweet.
Makes him look like a spy.
I mean, I think it's more his intense glare that gives him that spy feel. I feel like I'm being viewed, assessed. I'm just kidding, boss. You look so sweet. Looks like you just woke up.
Now I can see everyone. Hi, good to see everyone.
Actually, the painting over my shoulder is by Morisot. And you spell her last name. I think it's Morisot. 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 And she's like, has the most beautiful color. She's the most beautiful brush strokes. Part of what my part of my vision for the class today was to try to draw brush strokes. I know we don't paint in this class, but one of the things when you ultimately paint, you'll be using drawing concepts, angles, curves, building shapes and forms that represent physical things, but there'll also be color, and there'll also be like a texture to the paint. So the paint will be either thin or thick or like juicy or dry. And by just going to the museum and having your pencil sketch, what you can do is like physically draw what the paint looks like, as if it were like its own object. And you can look at paintings and draw them, following the same directions, but you can also draw them, like they're, each stroke is like a thing that you could actually like pick up and like put in your pocket. Like it's a set, like it's almost like if impressionist paintings feel like they're made out of like petals from flowers. So each petal can be, each brushstroke, each like each petal, can be drawn kind of individually. So we'll think about that, and we'll think about that. This poster that I have over my shoulder, I've had probably for like 10 or 15 years. And it's really beautiful. There's a little wagon up in the corner, which I haven't really spent much time thinking about. That's what's so nice about paintings that you have for long periods of time, is that you live with them, and you're like constantly discovering new things. And, as the light hits it in different times of day, as your mood shifts, as you learn things about the world, you get new insights into the paintings. And I was just looking at my Morisot book, and this one page had like a close-up of that little wagon back there. And I was like, I never really looked at that before. So anyway, so even if you have a piece, you can always see it with fresh eyes. And that's what the kind of like the constantly giving, of art. It really does. It has that over a lifetime. Whoa, thank goodness we were recording that. That sounds nice. All right, let me see if I can get the screen share going. iPhone cable. Sure. And again, yeah, I do apologize for being late. I wasn't actually late. It was my computer that wasn't starting.
Your computer was late. It
Yeah,
happens.
and yeah, it was just being finicky. And when I go to the museum, I you can't. I mean, you want to see a lot when you go, so you can't spend you can't like copy or sketch or like see every part of every painting. So you're kind of at some level being a little superficial. And that's a-okay. You don't, I mean, you could go to the museum and just spend all day looking at one painting. That would be fine too. But if it's a museum and you're traveling, you kind of want to, you can't spend an eternity on everything. And I usually, in these classes, we get soaked into one. Oh, shoot. I don't know if anybody can hear me. Did I get broken up there?
Not on my.
No, nice. Okay, cool. So when you go to the museum, you only have time to like, maybe sketch one or two things and just kind of get the feel of the piece and get the reaction of it. So I kind of like, this class can kind of be seen as like a little introduction to Morisot. So we'll look at a lot of paintings and not necessarily go too deeply into any one of them. And it should be a good time. All right. And I'll be dealing with the book, but it shouldn't be too bad. I'll be looking for different views and stuff. And the book is shiny, so I'll be fighting a little bit of the glare, but here's the scene. And it's so interesting because I'm seeing it in this book, and there's here's our little, it's so interesting. What's shiny for me is not shiny on the screen. So cool. Where are we going? There it goes. All right, so she's just reading a book, and one of the things that I always have loved about this piece in particular is this violet book cover. I don't know. I just thought it was so. Violet is such a difficult color to incorporate into a painting, and it's the underside, of the book, so it's in shadow, so it's a very neutral violet. I don't know. I just think it's such a beautiful color, and then she gives a little tickle of that on the fan as well, which is kind of cool. Cool. She has this nice hat that's like sitting on the top of her head. It's just a pleasant scene. There's an umbrella down here. When Morisot, she died relatively young. She had a daughter. She made really more domestic scenes. Like one of the ideas of the Impressionists is that they would go out into called plein air, and they'd go out into the world and they'd bring their paints, and that's what she did. I mean, this was done, on site. I'm sure the dress was finished in the studio, because there's like all these details. There's always this, like, someone call it a battle, but you're battling nature and you're battling time. So when you go out and you work on site in nature, the sun changes so quickly, and the weather changes. It can be windy. You have all your materials, and then there's only so much time and energy you have. So you might have like 3 hours, maybe 5 hours if you're going hard. But if you start at 10 in the morning, by 3 in the afternoon, like the light is completely changed. So, there's this like rapid pace that is kind of is the demand of painting on site. So you kind of get the impression of it, if you will. You get the spirit of the pose, and then you get the light, you get the scene, you set the stage, and then you can come back into the studio and finish it later. And I think that's what's going on with this dress. I don't know, a couple interesting things. I don't know if you can see this triangle of the dress here, and the smaller triangle. It almost makes like this prism, like this pure geometric prism. Really, really nice. You can see one knee up here, and the other thigh, and then her knee under here, and like her leg. You can imagine like her legs are kind of, her ankles might be crossed underneath, you know, the gown there. And yeah, I don't know. This might be a blanket down here. Should I be resting on a blanket? I don't know. It could be a jacket. She's got an umbrella. This is very like, it's a very typical impressionist scene. And you know, if you think, there's a really famous painting by Monet where there's a woman standing on the top of a ridge with this backdrop of this blue cloudy sky. And she's holding like a yellow umbrella, and her dress is blowing in the wind. It's essentially the exact same component parts, in the sense that it's a woman in a dress with a hat with an umbrella in a field with a blue sky. You know, it's almost like the same anatomy. But it's, she's not, movement in the sun. It's more calm, and she's reading. As great as of an artist as she is, I look at those hands and I'm like, they're a little rough. I did a portrait of my nephew. He's like 3 weeks old, and we were Zooming. And my sister like held the phone up to him, and I did this little sketch, and it's a nice little sketch. And his hand was inside his sleeve like this, and I only sketched his fingers. Anyway, the hands that I drew yesterday were actually a lot like Mauriceau's hands right there.
I mean, the bottom hand, his hands are scary. They're wanting.
These ones?
Yes.
Yeah, they're a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so I don't know where I was going to go with this. I wanted to do, there's so many nice props. Maybe we should just like take a quick tour around like the prop station. Maybe we could possibly start sketching with this little book. There's the fan. There's the hat, which is kind of prominent. There's the umbrella, which I don't know if I have an umbrella marked on the next page that I think is a better umbrella to sketch. Oh man, that fan is really good too. Okay, so yeah, let's start with the book. Let's just start with the book, and we'll see where it goes. Let me see how far I can zoom in on this bad boy. All right, that's about as far as I can zoom in. Oh, that's nice. Okay, yeah, like I said, if you have color pencils, let's grab them. And these are we're not going to save the world with these sketches, but I think it'll be pretty fun. All right, so I should put my money where my mouth is, huh? I was going to start with a regular pencil because I was scared, but okay, yeah. Side note, I just got these colors, these color pencils, and see all the bands that are on there? The stripes represent all of the colors that are mixed into the tips. Okay, so there's like three types of blues, 2 greens and a yellow, a dark gray, a light gray, a mid-tone gray. And then if you look at the tips, all those colors are like mixed in. I've never seen these before in my life. And I wouldn't take them seriously because I've seen like pencils that have like all different colors mixed in. They're like rainbow pencils, and they're kind of cheesy. These are more designed to give you variations. You have to keep grabbing new pencils, but it's generally a light green, generally a light blue, dark blue, orange, whatever. So yeah, these are a thing, and they're kind of expensive, but I got them on clearance. They're called Tritones, and I got them at Michael's. I don't know if there's any more. They were on sale. I've never seen them before in my life. I love them. So
they're psychedelic.
Well, they give you the variation that you might need. That like makes it interesting. Less control, but more variation. Okay, I'm going to start with the binding of the book. This is the closest thing to purple that I have in my color pencil set. And we're going to come down the top of the binding. Ooh, that's a little bit more purple.
Oh, wow. The colors that it's showing are really Sorry, very interesting.
No, they're nice.
Yeah.
I just noticed that there's this little, it almost looks like a dog tag, or it looks like the corner of the book. Yeah, I think she originally made a rectangle and then was looking for some kind of variation on it. So nervous about those fingers. Okay, so there's a little bit of a suggestion of the thickness of the binding. Even though we're not really seeing it, we're really picking it up as we get the front cover of the book. So if you imagine how this would be, even though there's no writing on it, this would be the front cover. That would be the back cover. So I'm doing these, again, vectors. So I'm like finding these angles. If this is a vertical, this was a horizontal for the back of the book, basically a nice solid rectangle. And then we get this like angled, trapezoid or rhombus. I think the book might be affected by her knee. Let me slide this over a little bit. Yeah. So like the bottom of the book comes here and that kind of like conforms to the curve on her knee. Neato. And then as I'm painting, coloring, what have you, I'm thinking of the, the direction of the XY coordinates of that book. And I don't have anything to smooth this out with. So my touch, I'm actually using the tip of the pencil to get a really smooth finish. At least I'm trying. I'm just trying to not make it scratchy. That's cool. I'm going to switch over. I don't think the pages are pure white. And I have pure white paper, so I'm going to make my pages yellow. I'm going to make a couple groupings of those shapes. Ooh, looks like she's turning the page. So there's kind of, it looks like she's either, the page is actually self-separating because pages do that sometimes. Or maybe she has her thumb on the bottom and is turning the page actively. Not really sure. Just so I can show that there's a color change between the pages. Like there's a bright page, and then there's like kind of a brown, like a more neutral page, a page that's in shadow. I'm just gonna switch colors here. They don't have to be perfect. These are almost like me taking my own notes, but the shape of the pages is interesting. Feel pointy. There's my little book. All right. My fingers, I don't think they might not even be worth attempting to sketch because I think they're worth it. Whatever. I'm just gonna put them in here. I just choose a pink, and it's too bright, and I'm okay with that. I like this little like semicircle. It almost feels like a little shell where our fingers are in the top of the book. We're sketching to get a deeper appreciation for the piece. That's all. For my own peace of mind, I think this book, it feels like it's more clarifying, meaning like there's crisper edges or maybe darker edges. So I just added a little bit of dark to see the top. Even add a little dark on this side. And I'm never going to be able to match her colors, and nor should I want to. This is actually a good little side note. The color of this book, the color of this painting in this actual book, the physical book we're looking at, that book was printed maybe 25, 30 years ago. So the settings on the printer for that day 30 years ago, have a certain range of colors. The way that that ink aged over time, the camera that actually took the photo had certain settings. The light in the museum that the camera took the picture in varied. Could have been daylight, could have been artificial light. So the way that a painting ultimately gets reproduced in a book has such wide ranges of colors and values that you can't take it as being true. Like you can't take it as being accurate. You can take it as being true. It's not like there wasn't a book. It was not like there weren't hands. But you can't rely on the colors being exact. So if you ever come in and you are in fact trying to, copy something or like kind of get the gist of it, especially with color samples, don't be hard on yourself, because there, and like the colors that I'm working with, they are the colors I'm working with are so limited. So I say that color close counts with horseshoes and hand grenades, and color. So you can be, very liberal, with color application. All right, I like my book. Let's try another detail. Hopefully I can fit it on here so we can look at both of these at the same time. Oh, yes, look at that dress. It's so beautiful. Sorry, more so might be, I don't know, top 20 and top five in paint application and color for me. Like top 5 favorite painters of all time, and that is a lot. That's very high on the scale of love for my girl. Let's see here. Put this over here. All right, that looks good. That looks good. All right, got my book. I got this. Let's try that fan. The fan, I think, is going to be particularly interesting because it's painted. It's basically yellow paint on top of the green grass, and I think that the grass was still wet, like while it was painted. At least the first version of it. So these colors are interesting because they're in a field of wet paint. That's where I kind of talking about where you're drawing paint strokes. So the inside of this fan is green, a yellow green, but it's only that yellow green not because the fan was yellow green, but because she was painting yellow paint on top of wet green paint, and she was okay with it. And she noticed there's like these nice light green highlights in here. Those were that was over painting. So anyway, I guess I'll start with maybe. Okay, I will. I found this really great pencil. This has got dark green, and yellow in the pencil tip. I mean, of course, not everybody has this, but imagine if I could actually strategically, it feels like it's part of the same family. It's pretty close. Anyway, let's see what happens. I'm going to start with an angle for the base, and I'm starting with this one because this is actually probably one of the most prominent angles, and this was probably the last stroke she made on the fan, this little light lip up against that edge. So it's the fans, I think, are just spectacularly beautiful. They can be super small when they're compact. They're audible. When they open up, they go. They serve a function. They move air. It's like a cooling function. It's like a simple machine. It's like an extension of the body. They're decorative elements. So artists have been decorating fans in every culture. So there's almost like the role for the artist as well. I mean, fans are they're so cool, and I think totally underestimated. We gave up. I have like one of those electric fans that spin. It's like these are a cheap piece of plastic with a battery. You trade that for this this simple invention that is part of our humans' tradition for like thousands and thousands of years. It seems like not a good trade. I didn't mean to pontificate about fans, but here we go. All right, so the structure of the fan is there's this axis point in the middle, and then all of those blades kind of radiate out. And she has a really nice variation. So there's some crisp lines on the fan in the inner base, which you can kind of see through. And then there's some crisp yellow. Should I change colors? Maybe I'll change colors so I can guarantee my yellow on the outside. Because I'm working with colored pencils, I want to get my plum, that purple shape in here. It's not even right. How am I going to make that right? It's almost more of a blue. It almost feels like a sky blue.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And not subtle. I mean, my thing is like, you know, hers is just like the slightest note. Like there's no dark. Like the value of the purple and the value of the yellow and yellow green are almost the same, to the point where you barely even see it. And you guys can do what you want, but
It looks like a peacock eye, like on the feathers.
Yeah, mine totally.
Oh, I see. I see that peacock eyes.
I was just saying, when I said do what you want, I was like, you don't necessarily have to do this background, but in order for, like with color pencils, in order for your lights to stand out, you have to lay in something for the background. So I didn't plan on getting all of this, but I think it's an important point, and I'm going to do it fast. So whether you're just drawing the regular fan is fine, but I just want to throw in the background because I just can't make the fan stand out as being bright unless I, actively shade around it, and that's just because of the paper. And it's actually very painterly. You don't. All right, that's good. Good attempt. This could be a mistake too, but there seems to be some extra dark notes. And I mixed my little, this is like a dark gray mixture. And I can increase the contrast of the fan in the background by darkening the background. Yeah. The grass that she makes is darker. The grass isn't always darker, but it's always greener.
Grass greener?
Grass is always greener.
One thinks. One might think.
So now I'm just adding some yellow here to clarify the difference between the part of the fan that has the paper, the folded paper, versus the sticks. And the other thing is, like, when you deal with like objects that are kind of like, I don't want to call them simple, but they're not, it's not like it's a nose, or it's not like it's a, an ear or something like that. It's like a little less intellectual, demanding intellectually, I should say. This is where you can kind of free up and be a little playful with your color and just like take some risks. That's why I like sketching. So I like sketching like this, because there's no risk. You're not kind of going for, you're not trying to save the world. I think it's important to try to save the world some days. And then other days, you can just be easy on yourself. I love this little triangle here. I've never noticed it, but I've got the book and I've got the fan. And then there's this it must be part of her ribbon on her dress. But like I said, I've never noticed it before, and it's so pretty, and it's so simple. It's just this little, almost abstract excuse for colors, and the vectors seem to run sideways, or like actually diagonally. And these are the things that I do at the museum, because you won't see it unless you sketch it. So I have never drawn this. I've been waiting to teach this for as long as I've had the poster. And there's something about when I teach it, or when I copy it, or when I really sink my teeth into it, it's like, there's this thing where it's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, you can have your cake, and then when you eat it, like, you're satisfied, but then it's gone. And so there's like, by not teaching this piece and not learning every single component about it, you almost you keep like a distance from the art, and and it's not used up. You know what I mean? It's like this mystery that is waiting for you, and eventually you're gonna have to face it. But yeah, so it really is a special painting, to me personally. Whoa, look at these dark notes down here. Okay, so I was just adding some dark notes under the fan, and it's part of what's able to pull this is the edge of the painting right here. So this is the book. These really dark green notes, almost black, like they're green, but they're so dark. That contrast at the lip shows that there's a cavity, there's an underneath to the blouse, but then the contrast, the white and the black, pop that thing forward so far, and the soft darks, the soft dark greens near the fan is an arrangement of contrast that allows the fan to kind of sit back. Yeah, so I'm drawing the fan, I'm noticing these extreme contrast notes right at the bottom of that picture. Yeah, and like the nice thing is that it didn't happen by accident. Morisot was intending to move that blouse forward. So she moves the blouse forward by having really bright lights in the dress and really dark shadows along the trim. And not only is she using contrast to move that, to create the perspective that comes forward, she's also using aerial perspective, meaning the things that are lower on the picture are closer to you. The things that are higher on the picture are further away. So this blouse comes in front of this blanket. This blanket is in front of this square that's back here. That square is actually in front of where she's sitting on the ground. The fan is behind the blouse. This little fold here, that feels like this feels like an afterthought too. It looks like the dress kind of went down here, and then she had the fan there, but it was just floating, and it was too much of a gutter. Like there's too much green in here. And so I think this little triangle, which happens to be the same echo, the same triangles as red, it's just at a larger scale, and a two-tone blue-gray. Yeah, that's great. Look at the space that was created in between the fan and this, our red triangle. The space around these positive areas get really activated. There's also this dark triangle that's in between the blue of the blouse and or the dress and the fan. Really neat. Well, it seems like there's a play of triangles. There's this triangle, negative space. There's this triangle, feels like a shark fin. There's this triangle. There's the triangle of the pages of the book, and then a smaller triangle of the space between the book. Yeah. That is good. What a gal. What a gal. Okay. So I've been kind of, not intentionally, but because of the glare and everything, this little cart up here it's a tough read up in this corner. And like I said, the thing that I forgot about this painting, the thing that I've known it was there, and there's this like kind of path that brings you off into the distance. And if you look at the nature of the path, it does what it's supposed to do, which, you enter into the picture, you have this whole field down here, and then everywhere from this fence ledge, there's like a little fence here. There's a whole separate like genre of painting that goes on behind that, which is called landscape. And this is essentially a figure arrangement with still life objects. So this was done in the studio. And then if you look back here, everything from this fence above, this is landscape. And it's straight out of like a traditional, Monet painting. So all of the kind of landscape rules apply. So you have this triangular entryway from the path and it comes up and it leads and it goes behind that hill, and you could assume that it kind of turns the corner. So there's the trees, the hedge that are in front, and then this hill that goes here, and then this hill that goes there. Then there's this distant row of trees, and then the sky. So the road, the hill, the field, the row of trees, and then the sky. It's not that many components, when you think about it. Like there's the fence, which is 1. There's the road, which is 2. There's the hill, which is 3. There's the field, which is 4. The trees, which is 5, and then the sky, which is 6. And if you just eliminate all of that down here, the piece is kind of like 2 paintings in one. And I suspect this is the part of the piece that she did, in real life, on site. Anyway, this book in particular has a close-up of this little field section up here. And I would like to draw the wagon, because I haven't really done that before. And this is part of the inspiration. This is part of the inspiration that I had for the idea of drawing brushstrokes. So let's see where we can go. No, that's not going to work. Or is it? Or is it? Move this back. Move this down. I think I have enough room. As long as I don't bump it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So we're gonna have to. This is gonna be fun in the sense that we're gonna have to decode some of this, and some of these brushstrokes may they're gonna feel abstract, and in a sense they are abstract. And abstract means that they don't have anything nameable. That you can't tell what the thing is. So we have to start with what's obvious to about what the thing is. And I think where the place to start on naming is going to be this wheel. So we'll do the wheel, and then the axle, and then the other wheel. And then I think there's a little cart there. I think there is maybe hay. And then perhaps there's somebody, there could be somebody or something on top. And then, there's basically, these are just brush strokes that I don't think we can tell for sure. If we lived in this area, that's the other interesting thing. If we lived in this area and we're around, these, if we were around these carts all the time, you'd be able to tell, you would be so familiar with the subject that it would be obvious to you. Mm-hmm. But if you don't live there, it's not so obvious. I'm trying to think of, anyway, in like Lancaster County, there's a lot of horse and buggies, and that's what I want there. I want to see a horse here, but I don't really see one. All right, let's see what we can come up with. I'm going to switch to this little brown area. So the wheel feels like it's moving to me. And, if you find the center of that wheel, the wheel is almost in perspective. We know it's a wheel, but we're drawing brush strokes. So I even fell into the trap of, wanting to actually draw a wheel, but you want to detach yourself a little bit and try to draw the movement of the brush and like a little bit of the thickness of the brush. If you look up here, there's this wheel almost goes like straight right there. So the wheel almost blends in to what I think is the wooden structural side of that cart. I think there is a suggestion of the middle of the wheel. Mm-hmm. And then there's a pretty hard horizontal right there. And then I think that then connects to this oval, which represents the, the visible part of the bottom of the wheel on the far side.
Excuse me.
Hmm. Sweet. So overall, I'm picking up like a rectangle or a trapezoid shape. And then there's this, it looks like this semicircular dome on top of these, it looks like you can just see your brush going like moving back and forth. So where you can't tell, you gotta choose a, I wish if you can't name what it is, then call it what it is, which is a brush stroke. Look at this rectangular brush stroke that angles down right here. It's not as green as I'm making it, but it's definitely there and green. There's this little yellow note, which is too bad because that yellow note is probably the most prominent color possibly in the whole thing. And I kind of wasted my yellow on the hay. I overdid it sort of. So I'm gonna try and knock down my hay so that yellow can be prominent. There's a little neutral white note underneath it, maybe even blue. I'm seeing a little bit of blue.
I would never have seen that blue had you not pointed that out.
Yeah, right there, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Then there's this little gumdrop looking shape. Could it be a person? I don't know. In her mind, maybe it was. I feel like it's the back of somebody and their face, and this is like the top of their head and they're like facing forward. But again, I do not know.
I see the horse's head. What I think is the horse's head to the far left.
This one? I hope it is.
No, just left of that off-white.
Oh, that thing?
No.
Yeah, that could be. So what if that was the horse's head and then there's someone standing on the ground walking next to it?
No, I was referring to just left and down from the first place you pointed. Now go left. Never mind. Oh, it's your right. Now go right.
This is oh, now go right. Okay, yeah.
No, sorry, left.
Left.
Down. Stop. I'm too far down. It's just so hardly.
That light note?
No, just next to the light note. No, I'll I'll show you later.
I see it.
Yeah.
Am I pointing to it now?
You're just off of it.
Is the light note like the horse's mane?
Yeah, that exactly. And the head is in front of it.
Oh, yeah.
Or even a blanket, the light part. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I know. So you're seeing like a horse's head like here, and then the mane like that.
Yeah.
Could be. Yeah. I mean, who
knows? But that was what I see.
I like it. Let's go with it. These dark browns really give you the sense of wood, which I feel like is really important because the cart's got to be made of something. And there's like this dark wood and then this light wood. And that one extra bright note, which is only able to stand out because it's against the ground. Yeah, these are, this is like abstraction. Like when you make beautiful brushstrokes and they're there to hold up as brushstrokes, just that's what they are. Their nature is the beauty. I mean, it's still representational because she's using nature to guide the brushstroke. We're using Morisot's brushstrokes to guide our brushstrokes. So we are separated from nature. We are connecting to the artist. She's still connecting to nature because she's looking at nature, and then that is what's guiding her stroke. Abstraction is when you don't have any necessarily, your nose it's just brushstrokes for brushstrokes' sake. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I just find Ooh, look at these little spokes, little green shots, like. So all of those strokes in there are somehow related. I guess if I back out a little bit, these are part of this bush. There's some shrub that's in the foreground that, you know, perhaps the horse is even disappearing behind. Am I missing anything? You know, there's these I'm going to go to blue. There's this like note that's above the mane. You know, there's the hay, possibly hay. I don't know what it would be, but the stuff that's on the cart. I'm looking at those brush strokes. Interestingly, there doesn't seem to be a shadow on the ground. You know, where, you know, in theory, there would be like kind of this shadow that was cast on the ground in between the two wheels. And I don't know if there used to be there and then she painted the road on top. Wow, that might be a thing. So real quick, there's my triangle of the road. So I couldn't fit it on the screen at the same time. And it looks as though she had painted that little shadow beneath the cart, and then whatever color she chose, this light gray color that she chose for the path, it looks like it kind of got painted over here. See if we can get a little bit, even like a sense of what's going on by including more.
I feel like they're bales of hay.
Yeah.
Being...
So, oh, by the way, this is in Cleveland, so you can go see this painting. I remember a guy told me, he was like, he had studied, I was like talking about going to Europe and looking at paintings and going to museums. And he was like, if you're interested in like 19th century, you know, art, impressionist, post-impressionist, you know, all those big names, like you don't need to go to Europe. Like we have on the East Coast of the United States, like the finest collection of 19th, 20th century French painting, period. I mean, we have, because like the French, they were like, it was kind of too much for the French public, and the Americans loved it, and the Americans were seeing this huge boom, you know, really in like the late 19th, early 20th century, like after the Civil War, and you know, we bought it all up, and now you can go and see the finest Van Goghs, the finest Lautrecs, the finest Morisot's. Morisot is a little bit harder to find. She wasn't as prolific as as like Monet, mainly because she just died young. I mean, you know, Monet lived to be in his like 70s and 80s. Renoir lived to be in his like 70s and 80s. Degas lived to be in his 70s and 80s. And she just happened to not live as long, but she was, you know, so there's the body of work ultimately is smaller, but the work that exists is you know, on the highest level. Okay, so we're halfway through the class. Can I just like see what it looks like? I don't know. I feel like I don't want to draw on like this vacuum. Okay, let's see. I'm going to stop the share and then we'll look at some other paintings. So much for not sinking my teeth into a single painting. I was like, we're going to look at a lot of paintings. We've only seen one. Ellie, I got you first on my, I think it might be its alphabetical order. I'm going to pin you anyway. Can I see your little sketch? Yeah.
Ellie, can you bring that?
Okay, great.
Closer to the screen just the tiniest bit and freeze.
All right, Madeline, can we see yours? Ellie, that's great.
Very nice. Thank you, Ellie.
Okay, so here's the book and pen.
Oh, hold on, Maddie. That was like so fast. Hold on.
Double size. Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, the wagon's not easy. Simone, how about you? What do you got?
I didn't. Can you hear me?
Yeah, barely.
Just a little bit.
I can hear you though.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
I'm not competing with anything in here.
Alrighty then.
You're good.
I have this. I didn't have colored pencils with me at the time. Where is it?
Oh, nice.
So I
There you go.
just did a little bit of
Good.
sketching and stuff.
Yeah. Nice.
Lovely. Did you sketch anything else in the off time?
No, not really. I was mostly thinking about another art project that I have that I was doing. So
You're all good.
there's that. Yeah.
Sebastian, can I see yours?
So I didn't have colored pencils either. And I did a little bit small.
Good.
I think I'm gonna go back over it with pen.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm not giving any criticism. Dara, can we see yours?
So I accidentally drew my cart a little too close to the fan. So
those are happy accidents. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Okay, thank you. Janaya, can we see yours? Oh wait, Noah, you're next. I don't know if Noah's even there. Let's do Janaya.
Alrighty. Is it turning on? Hold on 1 second.
Right.
There you are.
All right. That's my little book on the top. I drew it kind of small.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like the embellishment.
Yes.
That's my favorite.
And
Okay,
hold that nice and still. Come up a little bit so we can see the bottom of your fan. Nice. Thank you, Janaya.
You're welcome.
Jackson, are you in the house?
Thank you.
I am. I don't like mine, to be honest, but it's okay. I did just the book and the fan.
It is okay.
There you are, Jackson.
Sweet.
Okay. Yeah.
Nice. Those are invested. Okay, good. Yeah. It's not about, yeah, thank you. And then who else am I missing? I think I got everybody, right? That's everybody. Unless Noah comes back, but it looks like he is invisible. All right. Replace share screen share. All right, so I owe you guys some viewing pleasure. So I'm gonna let's just look at some paintings.
Oh, can I ask?
And then we'll sketch again. What's that, Faith?
Will we be going back to what we had? Oh, I just want to take a picture of that wagon and your picture, your paper as well, if I may.
Okay. There's my wagon.
Nice, nice, nice.
And then there's my stuff.
Thank you.
That looks like a slice of pizza.
Do you know what? It does.
I know. I was like, well, that sounds like a good picnic. Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
This is pretty. This feels very Van Gogh-y to me, actually. Van Gogh was great at let me move this over. Sorry. Van Gogh had all these like beautiful. It was like this landscape theme that they would. You have these basically horizontal bands. So you have this like whole section of foreground, and then this whole band of field, and this whole band of trees, and then this whole band of rows of houses, and then a whole band of these two distant fields, and a whole nother row of trees, and a whole different distant landscape with some like taller trees and probably a little village back there, and then this whole band of low sky, like low altitude sky, and then clouds moving up. So these are all aerial perspective, lower, closer, higher, further away, and then that gets inverted in the sky where the clouds that are highest, they're actually closest to us, and then as you get lower in the sky, you get further and further away into this like bizarre infinity of a connection between the earth, the sky realm and the earthly realm. And you can actually see how she's really savvy in her treatment of the greens. So the higher intensity greens, are all closer. And then as she moves back, the greens get more neutral. These dark greens become closer to black. And then these distant blues, that mountain back there, that's like solid blue, even though that mountain is still full of, green trees. It's so far away that it's perceived as being blue. It's actually like almost the exact same color as my pencil. Anyway, it's not that exciting. There's no people in there. And she's kind of famous for, but she's famous for doing people. But her landscapes are gorgeous. These are all this is all pastel. There's these beautiful blue keynotes. Like one of the things I talk about in my painting classes is that every section of the painting needs to have a little bit of every color in it. So even though this is mostly oranges, yellows and oranges, it still has a couple warm notes. And even though this is mostly blue and cools and purples, there are some yellows and oranges, speckled in, so that there's like this kind of organic connection. Here is this is like a pose made famous by Manet. And then Monet also did portraits of his wife in there. She's just this reclining figure.
There's the fan.
Hubbard. Oh God, that's so funny. That's a nice fan. Look at those feet. Oh, that is very funny. This is a watercolor. And it's very interesting, very abbreviated. Wow, maybe we should do this one. There's some fun ships in here. The girl, we should draw the girl with the blonde hair and the white dress. Wow, that's some seriously solid two-dimensional shapes.
I can't tell what I'm looking at.
Yeah, this is definitely done. This is done in the spirit of Manet. So Manet did a whole bunch of these figurative beach scenes. I think this figure is playing in the sand off in the distance. I think it's another child, mainly based on like the dress. And then this is the mother. There's another umbrella, classic. And then you've got large ships, medium-sized ships, small ships, and then teeny ships off in the distance.
What's in the center? I don't know what's in the center.
This thing?
Yeah.
So this is a child from a view from behind. So she's wearing a hat. She's got blonde hair and her hair is tied with a bow. And then these are her elbows. That's an elbow and that's an elbow. And she's like sitting, making a pancake or something.
What is the roundish object to her right hip or knee?
I think it's a pail. I think it's a little bucket.
Okay.
Do you see the bucket?
No, but now I see that it's a child. I saw it as something else. Okay.
So it's interesting because I wonder what year this is. 1874. We have to figure out when she was born because.
Thank you.
The colors are like so muddy, and this has got to be an early piece. It's early on in the book. Here's another one that I really love. Move out. I was also thinking about incorporating the lesson of drawing these abbreviations. Basically people, like abbreviated people. They're impressionist people. That would be a whole another lesson. Small abbreviated people, people as brushstrokes. I love these clouds up here. All right, let me move over and show you a couple of her home runs, just so. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's one. This is hopefully you can tell that the color is different. She's become full-blown impressionist at this point. Really pushing the boundaries of color arrangements. Look at these look at those hands, Stacy. How about the hands on there?
Yeah.
So great. So great. Woman in a parlor reading, almost feels like she could be in an arboretum, these big palm trees. She loves those palms and these like sections off of the windows. Keyed, the picture is keyed in this like, which is very typical of her, in this like vermilion or like kind of this red orange. The red orange you find in her lips. It's also in the tie in her ponytail. And then it's, speckled around the picture,
And this is also reminding me, almost dead center in this is that flower, which is dead center in the fan.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I mean, that's spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this picture has everything. Now, the next page over is a close-up of her brushstrokes. So this is it's done in the context of wanting there to be, there's a certain agenda, like artistic agenda, that abstraction in the last century has been pushed really hard, of like non-representational. So like, because that was part of their artistic agenda, they like zoomed in and you can't tell what anything is. I think this is part of the window scene. But look at those brush strokes. I think hopefully you can kind of, it's not too blurry. I don't have I'm in the studio, so I don't have my high-end camera. Get some of those brush strokes up there. Very loose, mm-hmm. not worked. These are when you have these like little separations down here, it's called dry brush, and there's not a lot of liquid in it, so like the weave of the canvas can kind of like tug at these brush strokes, tug at the paint, so it makes these like almost like an infinity of stippling.
Yeah, I like that.
The book is really good for this, though. There's a very limited set of directions that she painted. Like, these are all verticals, horizontals, and then just a couple different directions on the diagonal. Even like, and there's small ones and large ones. I mean, look how these strokes, the angles over here echo the angles up here. And that's also repeated in here. Whoa. Okay, let me zoom out here so we can see the whole thing. I've never seen this picture before. I'm just blown away. I think it works really nicely with, it could work really nicely with the color pencils.
Oh, wow.
So it's this, what's it called?
Carousel.
Path in the...
Is it a carousel?
To Bologna. That's just I think it's just a dude on a horse in the woods.
Oh.
Watercolor on paper. Yeah, this would fit nicely in my figurative impressionist figures lecture. Now there's the horse for you though, Stace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look at that one line under its neck. That one door, yeah.
Right here?
Yep.
Yeah. And then you have these trees coming in front of it too, these branches coming in front.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to remember at this time, this is 1888, like horses were the only way of, getting around.
Oops, excuse me. Oh my goodness, look at those colors.
I know. I'm like about to cry.
Wow.
So I got this book about 2 years ago, and I haven't had an occasion to really dig into it. But Morisot's watercolors, revelation. absolutely revelation. Just a couple of technical notes. I mean, the way that these bushes are layered, this is called, it's aerial perspective again, but the large bush from the small one and from the small one and from the small one. So this one's in front of here, in front of here, and it like brings your eye down this path. Same thing on the other side. Like this one is in front of this one, which is in front of this one. And you're able to actually travel, down the road, through the woods, and then up into this little, village up there. Feels like these bursts of colorful cotton candy. And then the houses are actually arranged that way too. So this one is in front of this one, which is in front of this one. And then this is in front of that, which is in front of that, which is in front of that. And it brings you all the way back. I believe this is the horizon line back here. So this is where the ocean meets the sky. And if I just zoom in slightly, you can actually see that she draws, there's a ship. There's this teeny little ship back here in the port. That's as far as I can go, but there's this little port down here and a little ship. Some of the other famous ones. Here's another theme that we've been looking at, this is 1889. Turn it.
What is that item? Is that a bird on top of that?
Yeah, it's actually it's a bird cage.
Okay.
And then there's the bird sitting on the outside. As far as the like a classical not classical, I would say typical landscape effect. You enter into this picture through the bottom at this angle, and then it comes up through the tree, and it wraps, it curves back around, and then through this tree, and then into our figure. There's all these beautiful sweeps of design. Look at how her leg sweeps up into her, and then spiraling through. Man. Okay, we have to draw one more thing. I think we should make the bird cage, because I think there's a bird inside and a bird inside and a bird outside. And we can do some 3D stuff, because we haven't done anything 3D today, really. Look at that face. I wonder if that's her daughter. It's called Under an Orange Tree.
So happy.
You can see these oranges up here. That would be a whole nother, spectacular little study. That's the thing. You go to the museum, you study her little her little hat versus the oranges, and then I think we'll have time today to do the.
That's just gorgeous. The oranges.
I know. I'm telling you, this lady is like the best. Well, at least one of the best. All right. All right, let's not freak out too much. It's got really nice pure geometry. And if you just keep it simple, it's going to be a breeze. All right, we'll go like that. Lots of colors. All right, so let's get two vertical. I'm gonna have to zoom out a little bit because it's too small. All right, cool. So we're building a box. It's like basically a golden cage. I doubt it's golden, but it might be. So the two verticals are the two sides of the bird cage. And those are yellow. The crossbar at the bottom, looks like it's a little bit thicker. And that's going to be the base of the bottom of the cage. So unfortunately, the side of the box, which it looks like it's covered up by maybe a water thing or maybe a feeder thing, or I don't know what this little sidebar thing is. But it's okay. It's resting on the ground. So we know there's going to be some grass down there underneath. And then the arch of the top of our bird cage. Spectacular. This is the front face of the cage. So now we have to like project this thing back into space. And you know, these vectors, these angles of the structure is what's going to like allow that to go back. So the halfway down, we get it. The top corner, we get it. And then once we find the, you know, the distance for the back of this, you know, this cube, we're going to have this arch come across the top. Now we don't want to get too far because there's a line at the top, and that's where our, you know, our bird is resting. So the bird is going to be, you know, the classic teardrop body. We'll do a mark for the wing. We'll do a mark for the tail. And we'll do a little arch for the top of the head. I don't know why it doesn't have a beak. I'm gonna give my guy a beak. I guess I should use orange for the beak.
Aww.
Thank you. Thank you, Stacey.
So sweet.
There's like these little, I don't know what there's this dark blue patch on him. The parakeet that's inside the cage, that's going to be the real party. So we'll do the thickness over here. The side of the box, I'm going to switch colors so that you all can kind of see what I'm thinking. There's the angled structure, and then the side here. Again, I don't know what this is, but it's a nice geometric form, which is very pleasing. And I don't know if it's where the bird feed, you know, the bird feed goes. But I think it is solid. And the side plane, we're looking through the cage into the background. I mean, so our backdrop is this little grove of tall grass in the background and some bushes, and then there's grass on the ground. So there's grass on the ground, which is basically side to side, kind of hopefully establishing some kind of plane. And then the background is going to be more vertical lines. And we're looking right through this cage to the background, both on the top, the side, and then of course the background. There's the bottom of the bird cage. And then the far side of the bird cage, which she actually does change colors too. That's nice. Thank you, Bert. I was trying to get the more orange. There it is. There's the orange color I'm looking for. And before we put our background in, we got to get our little parrot. So we got a parrot with his head. We've got the oval of his body. And we got the angle of his tail. I got to switch to a darker green if I'm going to show the belly. It's got a dark beak. I think there's a little perch on there, a little yellow perch.
Yeah, I see that too.
And then the last thing that really needs to, and that's what's so interesting, it's a bird cage, but there's no bars. Hopefully I'm choosing the right green. Yikes. You know, he disappears. He almost becomes lost and camouflaged in the background because it's all the same greens. And I think that's part of the reward of spending time in the picture. I mean, I know at first I didn't notice that there was a bird inside that thing. And there's my background color. The bluebird really stands out. That's the obvious one. So conveniently, it's very compatible, the white of the paper, but in painting, it's not as nice. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, I've got a lot of the white of the paper exposed in between the yellow and the green. So it works in the drawing somehow. But I know just from experience that in oil painting, you very rarely is it beneficial to have, you know, a lot of the canvas, especially when it's white, a lot of the canvas showing through. Usually you paint on some kind of toned ground, like a gray or any color, but and then if that color relates to your subject, it can poke through. But usually when you do oil painting, you cover close to the, I'd say 99% of the surface. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm just, I was doing my drawing and now I needed to do my coloring. And that's what's neat about color pencils, is that it just very obviously creates that connection between color and drawing, because you're drawing, but you're drawing with color. And that was Degas' famous quote. He's like, you know, it's just, you know, painting is nothing but drawing with paint. Like, there's no separation for him. And I can tell you, if colored pencils were as quality and as available at this period in the 1880s as they are now, these artists would be using them.
Would be using them, you said? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're just so efficient and so pretty. I mean, cool. All right, let's I'm gonna zoom back out so we can see the whole.
Oh my.
Loose. She is very stylistically loose. And you just can't, I mean, look at this, look at the spiral, look at the way that it's like a twisted rag. You have this tree, the growth of the tree, you know, spirals as it gets to the top. There's like seemingly vines, and this is beautiful glow, you know, this backlit glow. It's like you're in a forest looking out into the field and you squint your eyes because it's so bright. She's got herself like this little shaded grove, you know, this shaded area underneath the orange tree. So how do you represent that? You know, how do you represent you know, a nice cool shaded interior, but then, you know, looking out into this kind of light blasted field? She's good, man. Anyway, I hope you guys like that. It's a nice little. She's the bomb. All right, I actually have to go. Does anybody want to? You guys want to like? Maybe I won't stop the share. But do you want to just like hold up your drawing? I can see in the thumbnail.
And can we also see yours before we leave, Trevor?
Oh wow! Yes. Oh, these are great.
Oh, are people showing and I'm not seeing? Oh, wait.
I have the advantage.
Yeah, I can't see everyone's. Oh my gosh.
You guys
My
keep
parent has a little mohawk.
keep them up there. I want to take a picture with my phone so Stacy, you can see what I'm seeing.
I'm seeing some.
We've never done this before.
You mean seeing everyone's at one time?
Yeah, because I actually made the thumbnails.
Oh my gosh,
you know,
Ellie.
thank you.
Gotta hold those still.
Sebastian,
like
thanks guys.
Breeze.
I got the shot.
Oh my gosh, Simone, sweet.
These colors are awesome.
Jackson, hello. Give me that thumbs up, Jackson. Sweet, sweet, sweet.
Dara, your colors are phenomenal. Guys, all right, that was super fun. Thanks for going down this path with me. Hopefully, just Google Morisot and just see what you like. Like I said, she was a really sweet lady, and you can the proof is in the pudding. You can kind of like you can tell how someone's soul when you look at their art, especially when they're on that level. So, all right,
Trevor,
guys, I'll talk to you later.
Yours really fast.
What's that?
May I see yours really fast?
Can I text it to you instead?
Yes. Everyone have a great week.
Thank you
so much, Trevor.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.